Here we go. Today, we are going to focus on a change of perspective. Something keeping you is fear, keeping you from taking the action you would like to take. So today, we're going to talk about a change of perspective. So even though I'm by myself, dance with me. Here we go. Hey, Brian, are you dancing?
Always.
Always? Oh, yeah, I'd like to see that. What are you doing, this bit?
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been listening to the show for the last 7 years, or maybe you just stumbled upon it yesterday, welcome back. But if you are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, just know I've been waiting for you. Welcome. And I just want to share with you that this show is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. A little bit about me is that it is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. I was talking to someone a couple of days ago, actually it was last week, and they were saying, responsibility, I don't like the word responsibility. And the kind of word responsibility that we use that I want to reframe is no fault, no blame, no shame, no duty. Responsibility is ownership for your life. So is there anything in your life, fear, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, that is keeping you from taking action to live the life that you desire, from owning your life? Perhaps there's a blaming going on. Perhaps maybe you're upset with somebody else. So today, I want to talk to you about a change in perspective. It seems like I've been doing these shows like once a week. I don't know, for the last month or so, but it seems like there's one day a week that I get to share some of my thoughts, some of my lessons as a certified life coach, which I've probably been a life coach since I was 5 years old when I worked with my parents to save their marriage. I would like to think that I saved their marriage, but the reality is that sometimes it just takes a child to help you focus on what really matters. And so a while ago, I would say probably 30 years ago, I heard Wayne Dyer say, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now, he didn't create this quote. Max Planck actually said it. Max Planck said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. But I heard it from Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer was like the start of, for me, there's possibility, opportunity to change my mind, to change my life, that I had the power to do so. And that was pretty interesting for me. And so sometimes we can get stuck in our perspectives. I remember when I first started the show, I wanted the show to be live. I wanted the show to be a certain way. And I remember my life coach said to me, now, Miss Lily, do things have to be exactly what you think they should be like? And the answer probably in my youth was yes, it needs to be exactly how I visualize it. But then as I've gotten older, and now 7 years later, I see that there's so many different ways to create the change I want to create. I see that there's so many different ways to view a situation. Even now, when I watch a beautiful sunrise or a sunset, and there's a cloud in front of me or there's a cloud behind me, I always think of what is the other person on the other side of that cloud, on the other side of the island, or the other side of my perspective seeing. What are they seeing? Are these perceptions keeping you from growth? Are these perceptions keeping you from growth? Are they keeping you from joy? Are they keeping you from taking action? What is the perception that we can work on today that might change your life completely? That if you were to change your perception, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So Seneca the Younger, he's a Roman Stoic philosopher, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Oh my gosh. Let's hear that again. Let's hear that again. Seneca the Younger, because I love giving people credit. It is so important that we honor people by saying, I heard this here, I heard it there. If you can do it, then that would be great. So Seneca the Younger is a Roman Stoic philosopher. And he said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. So today, since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that we are going to talk about a change in perspective. Are you willing to change your perspective? Text me, call me, 407-373-5959. What is it that you would like to change today and still create win-win? And we're going to talk about that and more, because you never know what comes out of my mouth when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Yeah, I said it. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth because I speak from my heart. And I do have a template that I go through. I do research, but sometimes things speak to me much louder than other things. Like as I was doing my research, we suffer more often in our imagination than in reality. Think about it. Every thought that we think starts a process. So just recently, there was, or actually we're seeing it more often, not just recently, we're seeing this more often. And just on Sunday, we experienced a mass shooting in Jacksonville. It's a horrible thing. That started with a thought. And then we look at the computer and we see the advances in technology. That started with a thought. A thought turns into a feeling turns into an action. So we need to nip it in the thought. And so what are the thoughts that you're thinking today that could potentially be shifted? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I hope that you will join us the entire hour that we're going to be together. And that if you have any questions, you can comment below, because this will be on YouTube. It'll also be on Facebook, this video. And then, of course, you can listen on podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Stitcher. You're able to listen to the show without the halftime commentaries, the during, while we're off the air commentaries. You will just hear the on the air commentaries. And once in a while, you will hear the voice of Brian. So Brian, are you still there? That's probably
I'm here.
Yeah. Brian just recently got engaged. He's my little cutie.
Yeah, I did. I got 10 seconds left.
I got 10 seconds left. He keeps me honest. What can I say? So here we go. Nobody else gets to see this but you. Okay, I'm going to sip of my tea and we'll get ready to grow. Ready to grow. Now, did you dance with me already? You can dance again.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow together. Today, I get to share with you some of my lessons in life because it is so important that we change our perspective. especially when we find ourselves in resistance. What are you resisting today? And I'm telling you right now, you know you're in resistance if you're feeling discontentment. And sometimes the word discontentment is the start of growth. Now, while I was talking to myself and to you on the off the air, because we record all these shows on and off the air, so I want to encourage you to go to whenyounneedafriend.com and not only become a subscriber of my website, but when you're there, click all the buttons, and there's a YouTube video button, and when you click there, subscribe, and then these shows will be sent right to your phone or tablet. Actually, it's sent to your email. So wherever your email goes, that's where it goes. So today we're talking about a change of perspective. Now, if you're feeling discontentment, name it. What is causing that in your life? Is it that you want to change somebody else's perspective? Perhaps it is time to walk in that person's shoes. What is it about what you're trying to change that is causing them resistance? And so there have been times where you have felt resistance. What has kept you from that? What are the fears in life that are these defining fears? Or maybe you don't even know what they are. So what are these fears that are keeping you from surrender, from seeing somebody else's point of view, from saying, I'm sorry, I hurt you, or from saying, that was not my intention. This is what I truly wanted to do. And so I'm sorry that didn't work out, or maybe I came across as insensitive. There's so many different things that we can do to change the way the outcome occurs, or change the outcome, not how the outcome occurs, but how we embrace the outcome. So, as you know, I talk about 100% responsibility. But what the responsibility word that I'm talking about is 100% ownership of your life. No longer can we blame anybody for the condition of our spirit, for the condition of our soul. So I've put together some thoughts to share with you that have helped me along the way, and some new thoughts that I've stumbled upon in doing some research for this show. Now, the first one I want to direct you to is whenyounneedafriend.com. Whenyounneedafriend.com, there is a 100% responsibility page, because I want people to nail this, to get this, that everything, that we're the creator of everything in life. And even the things that we don't like to look at, perhaps maybe if we give it a name, that this was meant for our good, but we change the perspective, just like I'm changing the way we look at responsibility. If I can change that for me, I cannot change that for you. Only you can change it for you. So if I change that for me, and I look at the word responsibility, no matter what has happened in my life, if I look at how I created it, how I own it, how I can use it for my own good, then perhaps I'm not looking at how I was at fault because it happened, because that just doesn't resonate in my life. There are certain things in life that I had nothing. I was like an innocent bystander. But yet, I was in that moment and I was there. So therefore, I created that moment. Because if I wouldn't be there, I wouldn't have created it, right? So figuring out ways that I can make sense of it starts with no blame, no shame, no fault, no duty. So go to whenyounneedafriend.com, go to my responsibility page, and that will help you see a little bit more about that. Now, pride and right fighting and wanting to be right about everything can also steal your joy. So not understanding why something is, or not accepting why something is could steal your joy as well. So I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, check out that page. And I also want to encourage you that if there's something that you're in resistance about today, that you call or text me at 407-373-5959. Let's see if we can create something new. Let's see if I can help you see the other side of that scenario. So one of the things I want to talk about is the word, again, reformatting. Just like I'm reformatting the word 100% responsibility. So reformatting an event, something tragic that happened in your life. And so just recently, I was given a book that is, it's a daily meditation. And I've been doing this every day. And on August 9th, I read the meditation for the day, and I posted it on my Facebook page for those of you who saw it. But it's the hashtag is Reed and Spencer. The story behind Reed and Spencer is that this was the saddest day, August 9th. And let me tell you, when I read the story, I had to pause and I had to allow the feeling to go through me and out of me, because sometimes feelings remain in us, and those are the damaging ones. The good ones are the ones that remain in you, that need to remain in us, are like awareness and gratitude. Those are feelings that are good to remain in you. But these sad feelings, these feelings that could really knock us off our feet, are the ones we need to allow to feel, and then allow them to be gone. Allow the release of them. And so on August 9th, 2013, Jamie Hyman and Matt Huertas delivered stillborn twins, Reed and Spencer. Can you imagine delivering stillborn twins? This was understandably the worst day, August 9th, 2013. But as the 1-year anniversary approached of their children's ascension, they changed the day. They reformatted that day to challenging people to do random acts of kindness. So can you imagine about to celebrate the death? I'm going to put it bluntly, like everybody else says it. I like to look at it as ascension. But the death of your stillborn twins that didn't have the opportunity. One could look at that as the worst day forever, but they chose to reformat this day to challenging people. And it began a movement of August 9th, doing random acts of kindness. Everybody who heard the story, everybody who knew Jamie and Matt, and even I, who didn't even know them many years later, discovered that on that day, I need to do random acts of kindness in the honor of Reed and Spencer. The outpouring was overwhelming, and that day now has a new beginning, has a new twist. They were able to change their perspective and take a horrible, horrible, horrible day and turn it into beauty. Just recently, I saw the movie Collateral Beauty. Well, isn't it just us to look at the worst of everything and we look at collateral damage? But this movie that did not do good in the box office has an opportunity of changing the way you look at life, that you look at death. Just like, gosh, about 5-6 years ago, I changed the way I looked at death and renamed it Ascension. So at any time in our life, we can choose. And there are times that we're not even aware that we can choose. We believe that this is the way it must be. But does it have to be that way? will you consider that there could be a different calling for that day, a different perspective for that day? The day you lost your child, the day you got a divorce, the day that you lost your job, the day you discovered you're an alcoholic, or the day that you discovered that your spouse was cheating on you. Can we change that day to have collateral beauty? Which, by the way, I recommend everybody watch this movie with some tissues by your side, because it is our life. It is the ups and downs, the ebb and flows that we will encounter in our lives. And then if that sadness goes on too long, and then we go to a doctor, then the doctor will give us a pill. But the reality is we need to allow the feeling to come in us. Be aware that the feelings are there, but then allow them to be released. Feel bad if you want to feel bad. Feel joy if you want to feel joy. Every emotion has a consequence, a side effect, whatever it is that you want to call it. But when you are aware that you're in that discontentment, when you are aware that you are sitting in sadness and you don't want to remain there anymore, that you want to create something different, then that is when you create a plan for yourself. A plan to smile, a plan to dance, a plan to rename, to reformat, just like the Jamie and Matt with Reed and Spencer. By the way, the hashtag is Reed and Spencer. If you want to do a random act of kindness, you can do it at any time in their honor. What a beautiful way to honor the memory, even if it's a tragic event, just like we have experienced in so many times. And so I want to encourage you that when you're feeling whatever it is that you're feeling, that you switch it and you create a plan to get out of that funk, whatever it is, before you go and someone gives you a pill. Check out your nutrition. Check out your perspective. Go to someone who is positive. Live in gratitude. Help someone else's life. Give. There are certain things that you can make a plan. Just like there is a plan, like an evacuation plan in case of fire. How about if you make a plan just in case that you find yourself, that your soul is not joyous? What if? Please consider it. And we're going to continue our conversation about a change of perspective when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, so I had to pause the recording so that you know I got a call from Ashley, and it turns out that it was from her son that was calling me accidentally. So I just want to make sure everything was okay and that people were listening to me. So I hope that these stories are making some sense to you, because at any time I can change. I've got some stories that I have for every single example, but if you have, because I'm talking to you, my YouTube, my Facebook, people, my friends that follow me, which I'm so grateful every time someone new follows, please help me grow the show by sharing, by commenting, by liking, by going to my website at whenyouneedafriend.com. I'm going to say this again later, and I hope I don't bore you with it. But it's so important that we stick together, that we change the way that we are perceiving our life, because life can be hard. Life can be hard. But as Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. What does that say about us? So next, when we come back, and just let me know, Brian, how much time I have. When we come back from the break, I want to talk about how we face our fears and how we do the visualize the worst case scenario, how I had to look at my notes here for a second. Sometimes my thoughts kind of escape my brain. And so I'm glad that I have my little template to kind of ground me and bring me back in my little shell. Oh, so that's a question that people ask me. What am I holding on to? So I walk on the beach and I have little shells. I have other different kinds of shells. I'm trying to find, so I don't know if you see this little shell. Isn't it cute? And so I think everything has energy. And so I just put it in my hand and that helps. I've got stones. So for those of you who wonder, what are you holding on to? And you send me emails, that's what I do. What can I say? Everybody has to figure out a way to be able to just get the brain out of the way and allow the spirit to flow. And so whenever you see me pick something up and you see me do something like that, just a little insight on who I am, it's because I'm thinking too much and I want the words to flow out in the way that my creator wants them to flow, as opposed to what I think needs to be. I've given up on what I think needs to be. And I try to share from my heart and not so much my brain. Because, as Seneca says, we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. So we got 30 seconds. Perfect. Okay. So, by the way, Rylan is my grandson. So he's my 2-year-old grandson who accidentally called me during the show. And whenever I see my children call, I stop what I'm doing. And so here we go. I hope you're dancing. Let me hear the music. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. If the music's too loud or the music's too soft, we can't gauge that very much. There we go.
5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I am your host, Lillian McDermott. I'm also a certified life coach. For those of you who have stumbled upon the show and don't know much about me, I live in Brevard County, but my second home is the First Coast. So I live in the Space Coast, and my second home is the First Coast, and I absolutely love all the new friends that I have made along the way. And so I want to encourage you to help me grow the show. And there's so many different ways that you can do so. One of them is to become a subscriber, whether it's a subscriber on my website at whenyouneedafriend.com, or if you go onto the website, you will see a lot of different buttons. So the button for my YouTube, subscribe there, because that's where you get to watch the off-the-air conversations, which are just as powerful at times, and sometimes even more powerful, because people are off the air, they feel more relaxed, and they might say something that's so impactful. And I'm like, well, why did you say that on the air? Well, that's why the videos are created. So I hope you take advantage of that. If you like a topic, feel free to go and check it out. There might be more that will resonate in your heart. And so today we're talking about a change in perspective. And so I want you to see my perspective right now, which is how you can help me grow the show. So there are so many different buttons at whenyouneedafriend.com. And so follow me on social media. There's just whatever your preferred social media is. You could also, if you love podcasts, I'm on iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify. I think I'm on Pinterest, but I'm not sure. So there's so many different ways by sharing this, by, even when you find yourself listening to someone, just send them to, if they need a friend, to whenyouneedafriend.com. Even the story and how the website came about is divine. So I'm here in front of you, or behind your radio knob, depending on how your perspective of how you listen to the show. I am here for you when you need a friend. There is so much lack of contact that we have. And sometimes we just think about what we want and not see the other person's perspective. We don't see the other side of victory. We don't look at. So what we do here is we have these conversations and we get to eavesdrop into each other's conversations. And there's world-renowned thought leaders, medical doctors, healers that come on the show. So help me grow the show. And one of the ways that you can do so is to support my sponsors. Without my sponsors, this show would not happen. So please go to my sponsorship page or go to my shop page, because now we have a shop page where you can buy things at whenyouneedafriend.com. Every bit helps grow this show. I put everything back into growing the show. So I hope that you can grow with me as we grow together. And last but not least, I want to encourage you to put this number down in your phone. It's 407, not 904, not 321. It's 407-373-5959. So today we're talking about a different perspective. And we talked upon the new quote that I just love, which is, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. That was a Roman Stoic philosopher who said that, Seneca. And we always are visualizing the worst case scenario. And so today I'm talking about a different perspective, reformatting a day that is a terrible day into a day that could be brought through with hope. Yes, we feel emotions, and I always encourage people to feel whatever emotion, to own your life, to own your emotions. But some of these emotions can create damage in the body. So understand them, feel them, write them down. So that's my next tip for you, is to write these feelings down. And then focus on, how do I want to live the day? Do I want to focus on this negative emotion? Or what is it that I want? So if I'm feeling sad, what I want is really to be happy. Well, how can I be happy? So then we do happy things. It's creating that awareness that'll help us change. Now, one of the things, when you become a subscriber at whenyouneedafriend.com, you get my 90-day challenge to self-love ebook. If you don't have time, like if you really want to become a subscriber and just forget about it when you get home, text me or call me at 407-373-5959. Share your email. I'll subscribe you, but you still need to confirm when you get that email saying, hey, did you subscribe to the Lillian McDermott radio show? You can say yes, confirm, and that will add you to my list. And you will also receive my 90-day challenge to self-love ebook, because if you're looking at life through a depressed lens, then you will perceive everything as horrible. And so first it's the thought, then it's the feeling, then it's the action. So if you stop it and you nip it at the thought with the feeling or the thought, then that feeling will be different, and then that action will be different. So I just have fallen in love. So that you will get the 90-day challenge to self-love ebook, because what we've discovered is people who are depressed and anxious outside of nutrition, I'm not talking just about nutrition, people who are depressed and anxious have lost their connection to self. Another perspective. Do you want to be happy, or how do you want to live your life? So what you do is you change, you become aware. This is what I am doing, but this is what I want to achieve. So write them down. So for example, if you're tired, I find myself lately saying I'm tired, but really I am alive. I am energized. So that's what I want. I don't want to be tired. My husband says, take a nap. Well, sometimes I just can't stop and take a nap. I wish I could, but I don't. So I trick my brain into feeling alive. I breathe new life into my body. I take a moment, 5 minutes maybe, to just zone out, maybe do a little meditation to get back into the game. Another thing is, if I'm fearful and fear is keeping me from taking action, I change the word fear to have a new acronym. And it's follow is the F, E every, A avenue, R required. Follow every avenue required to live the life that you desire. So that means that if I want to be happy, then I need to be aware that that's what I want, and then choose to do something different. It might be to sweep somebody's front door, the somebody that can't do it. Maybe there's a lot of leaves in that front yard and you want to just rake them up. Or if there's someone who is having a hard day and you can send them encouraging words. Maybe it's whatever it is, but do a random act of kindness, just like Jamie and Matt with their children and keeping the memory of their children alive in a way that was helping their body. So Tim Ferriss is someone that I am falling in love with. He is someone that I've been listening to. He's done a TED Talk, and he has come up with, because he has he suffers from bipolar disorder. So he's come up with this incredible way that he, instead of focusing on his fears, instead of focusing on what he wants, he is aware of his fears. And he calls it fear setting instead of goal setting. Here's a change of perspective, where I would always look at goal setting and look at the positive and doing, what I want to achieve. So I would write down everything that I would want. With him, because of the way he processes things, fear was paralyzing him. So he was doing fear setting. So his name is Tim Ferriss. And this is where he came up with, he says, where in life, he asked the question, where in life right now are fears defining? What are the defining fears that are keeping you from achieving what it is that you want, taking action? That's all he wants to do, is take action. So this is what he's done, which is really brilliant, and I want to share it with you. His name is Tim Ferriss. He writes a 3-page, I would say, summary of his fears, the top 10 fears that are keeping him from achieving or taking action. Because first it's the thought, then it's the feeling, then it's the action. So the thought is fear, the feeling is fear, therefore it's keeping him from taking action. So he came up with a way to hone in on these fear setting instead of goal setting. So he writes on the top of a page, says, what if I? So he takes the worst case scenarios, 1 through 10, and then he will address every single one of his fears. And then he talks about how you can prevent it, or he writes about how you can prevent it and how you can repair the damage. So this is what I'm going to start with or maybe even talk about it off the air so that you can go to YouTube and watch this. And we're going to continue our conversation about a change of perspective when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. So I'm going to go into some detail. Let me take a little sip of my tea. And for those of you who wonder what kind of tea I drink hibiscus tea, full of vitamin C, because I take vitamin C in any format that I can so that my body will build its immune system. And that's what I do. Okay, so I'm going to go into a lot more detail with what Tim Ferriss talks about. He talks about the worst case. What's the worst? What are all of the fears? Let's say you want to achieve something. Let's say he gives the example of wanting to go to England, and all his fears were job related. And, what if the IRS sends him a letter? I mean, all the fears that he came up with are, again, what Seneca says. We suffer in our imagination more than we suffer in reality. So all these thoughts are in his head, and he writes what's the worst that could happen, and he writes it down. So he takes item by item. So if the worst thing is my house will burn down, right? Then the next column is prevention. So what can you do to prevent whatever your fear is, right? So let's say the house is going to burn down. That's part of the fear, and that's what's keeping you from leaving your home. Then what can you do to prevent it? Make sure all the window, the door, your pilot light is off. Make sure that the iron board is turned off. The iron is turned off from the ironing board. Just whatever it is that you can do to prevent it. And then the next column is repair. So what if it does happen? What can you do to repair it? Well, if your house does burn down, then your insurance, hopefully you will have insurance, because maybe that's part of your fear, but your insurance will pay for whatever damage. And so maybe there are some things that are irreplaceable, but will that change who you are? So that's where I come in as a life coach. But so those are things that you learn to embrace and create new memories. So I just thought that was a great, I never thought of fear setting. I always think of goal setting. So if fear is keeping you from taking that next step, from taking action, love this plan. And so I wanted to share it with you today. So it looks like we're 1 minute or 30 seconds. Okay, somebody's giving me wrong signals here. I thought we were about to get started. 30 seconds now. Okay, thank you, Brian. Okay. If you need any extra coaching or whatever, you can always reach out to me. I do coaching. It could be through the internet or it could be in person, but through Zoom is what we can do for coaching as well, all over the world. As long as you speak English or Spanish, porque yo hablo español también, as long as it's English or Spanish, I can coach you. So if it's any other language, then we'll need an interpreter. Does that make sense? But you can reach me at 407-373-5959 or email me through whenyouneedafriend.com. Here we go. This is the third segment or the last segment?
5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow together. Today, I am sharing with you my tips that I've discovered that as I was younger, I was black and white. Black or white. It had to be this way or that way. It was either true or lie. And as I've gotten older, I've discovered that it's not just black or white, that there is a different perspective that might be gray or that might be red or purple, whatever that perspective is. It is always good to try to be curious about the other person's perspective, or to be curious about your own perspective. The worst thing that we can do for ourselves is to be critical, not only of ourselves, but of somebody else's perspective. Yes, you may not understand it, but the word would be, help me understand. I am curious about what you're saying, as opposed to, if I don't believe it, if I don't think it, it's not real. Just because I think it doesn't make it truth. Again, I want to go over this quote that I stumbled upon when I saw this young man named Tim Ferriss, which of course, I'm reaching out to him on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. But this quote is from Seneca. He is a Stoic Roman philosopher. I just want to make sure I say it right. He says, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Think about that. Is whatever you fear happening currently? No, it's probably happening in your head. If it's currently happening and your fears have been realized, I want to share something with you. Then, okay, let me just finish that thought. If your fears have been realized, then you figure out a way to mop it up, to fix it up, to create a change. Because if it happened, I promise you, it will be for your good. But and that's in Romans 8. In Romans 8, if for those of you who are Christians and would like to look at Romans 8, I believe it's 29:30, somewhere around there, that all things work out for the good of all, not just for me, not for them. We just need to figure out how to create win-win in our life. And sometimes it's win-win-win-win-win. Maybe there's more than just two people in your life that need to win. So a different perspective. And this is a rule that my husband and I have followed and we are good with. We haven't had to do this in a while, but when we were first married, oh my gosh, it was a must. And I wish we would have known this earlier in our marriage. If you cannot see eye to eye with somebody, if you do not see eye to eye, then it is important to figure, if you guys need to make a decision, then figure out ways that you can create compromise. So what are the question would be, what are the things you can do? Like, I won't do that and I won't do that, but what are the things that you will do? Tell me. And so when Robert and I cannot see eye to eye, we come up with, he goes on his way, I go on my way. And it's been a while since we've had to do this, I'll be honest with you. But if it gets to that point where we need to do it, he figures out 5 things that he would do, and I figure out 5 things that I would do. And when we come together, we will have something in common, and that's what we do. So creating win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win everywhere you go is so important, especially when you're trying to create something new with somebody else that might have a different perspective. Now, we expect the worst case scenario, and I go into a lot more detail off the air. I just did this in the last segment where I talk about Tim Ferriss, where you're setting yourself, your fear setting, and you think of the worst case scenario, and you write down all the fears from that worst. You think of something that you want to do. This is something that you want to achieve, but something is keeping you from that third step. First is the feeling, then it's the first is the thought, then it's the feeling, then it's the action. So that action part is being controlled and manipulated by fear. So name what it is that you want to do. And the example, I gave some examples off the air. So you can go to my YouTube channel to hear that. But then you think of what all those fears that's keeping you from taking that action. Then you take one item at a time and you figure out how you can prevent it. And then you figure out how you can repair it if it does happen. So I go into a lot more detail off the air. So you can go to YouTube, go to whenyounneedafriend.com, click on the YouTube channel, and then you can see today's video. So, okay. So I talked about how to create win-win and figuring out what you do want. But let me talk to you about the thoughts. That first thought, then it's the feeling, then it's the action. I did an exercise when I was going through personal growth and later went back to become a coach in this program. When I was going through this, we did an exercise on thought. And we had everybody in the room, and we had about maybe 18 people in the room. And we lined up. We all lined up. And we were touching each other. So the person to your left was touching your left shoulder, and you were touching with your right hand the person's left shoulder. So and so that was we were all connected with our right hand. And so we asked the first person, or they asked the first person to have happy thoughts. And then we muscle tested. So we brought our arm up in front of us and they tested our strength. We were all strong and we weren't even touching each other. We weren't even touching each other at that time. And then they asked him to think horrible thoughts about himself and other people in his head. And when they muscle tested every single one of us, we were all weakened. So these thoughts that we have in our mind impact everybody around us. So this exercise on thinking the worst case scenario that could happen and figuring out how you can overcome each fear is an excellent tool. Not that I created it, Tim Ferriss created it. I don't know if he created it, but it's the fear setting that I want to encourage you to learn a little bit more about. So when you are calling people names, like, for example, I had a call from a friend that their child was behaving a certain way. Now, I asked her a simple question. if somebody you knew was acting the exact same way, or maybe even a stranger was acting the exact same way, would you be so upset about your child acting that way? And immediately, without thinking, the thought that came out of the words that came out of her mouth was no. So the question is, why are we holding people at a different level just because they're related to us? That's a change of perspective. So this helps for parenting. This helps for relationships. This helps with if you have a spouse, a child, a friend, a boss. If your boss was doing this and you didn't have a reaction to it, would it be okay, or would you react for somebody else that you loved? So my question is, why do we penalize the people we love because they're not doing what we want? A change of perspective. Would I expect that person to do a certain thing a certain way? And so that's a way to kind of like work with yourself. You cannot change the world, but you can change your perspective. And that is something that you can work on. And so hopefully today I was able to maybe give you some tips of what works for me. Doesn't always work. I have to work hard at that. And so I want to encourage you, and I want to tell you, by the way, we're coming close to the end of our friend contest, and I would love for you to email me the list of your friends that you would like for me to subscribe, or they can subscribe. But these are people that you were responsible to subscribe at whenyounneedafriend.com, also to like at least one of my social media. And so whoever wins this contest, which the winner will be picked soon, will win 3 free coaching sessions with me. And if it is a change of perspective that you need, we can work with that. There's so many different ways that we can own our life. And I want to encourage you to continue this conversation, because we suffer more often in the imagination than we do in reality. And please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Nobody was there to say it with me, so I hope you did say it with me. I'm looking forward to our next conversation. And if you have any questions or any comments about what you heard today, feel free to comment below and like me and share it. Do everything you possibly can to grow this mindset of 100% ownership of your life. No matter what is going on today, we can create what we want. We just need to learn the language that we speak from our heart to our head. Something as simple as holding on to a shell. Help me get out of my way. What will help you get out of your way and change the perspective that will allow you to be curious about the people around you as opposed to critical? So, I hope you learned something. Share it with me. I love getting your messages, good, bad, indifferent. I love them all. And please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you, and I look forward to our next conversation.